Occupational English Test. Listening Test. This test has 3 parts. In each part, you'll hear a number of different extracts. At the start of each extract, you'll hear this sound. You'll have time to read the questions before you hear each extract, and you'll hear each extract once only. Complete your answers as you listen. At the end of the test, you'll have 2 minutes to check your answers. Part A. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, a health professional is talking to a patient. For questions 1 to 24, complete the notes with information that you hear. Now, look at the notes for Extract 1. Extract 1, questions 1 to 12. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase that you hear. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Morning, Dr. Marshall. Thanks for squeezing me in. I've been meaning to come earlier, but you know how life gets. The main thing bothering me is this blasted right shoulder. It's been popping and grinding every time I reach up to the cupboard or try to fasten the seatbelt. Feels like there's sand in the joint, and some days it sends a sharp jolt down my arm that makes me drop whatever I'm holding.
Good morning, Mr. Whitaker. I'm glad you came in. Take your time and tell me everything that's going on with the shoulder.
Well, it started years ago after I helped my grandson move a sofa. Bit of a rotator cuff drama then, but it's worse lately. The physiotherapy exercises help when I remember them, but I'll be honest, I've not been consistent. I was due for another cortisone jab last month, only I canceled because I was looking after my wife after her hip op. Since then, the range of motion just isn't there. Reaching the top shelf in the pantry? Forget it. And sleeping? I wake up if I roll onto the right side.
That sounds very uncomfortable. Anything else tied into the shoulder pain?
Funny you ask. When I restarted pravastatin for my cholesterol a few weeks back, the aching spread to the other shoulder and my upper back. Felt like I'd done a marathon weight session, but I hadn't lifted more than the kettle. I quit the statin again, and most of that diffuse ache settled, though the right shoulder's still the bane of my days.
I see. We'll circle back to the statin. Anything else on your mind today?
Yes, ma'am. Smoking. I actually went a whole week without a cigarette last month. Felt proud as punch. But then my brother passed, and I caved at the wake. I'm down to about a pack a day again. The nicotine gum helps in the afternoons, but I've nearly run through the box you gave me. Thought maybe the patch could steady me in the mornings when cravings hit hard.
I'm sorry about your brother, Mr. Whitaker. We can definitely bolster your quit plan. What about your regular medicines? Any refills needed?
Vicodin's running low. Same with the methocarbamol. They keep the low back flares at bay when I overdo it in the garden. My albuterol inhaler's getting wheezy itself, nearly empty. Oh, and the colon cancer test kit, the fit you posted me? I set it by the bathroom mirror to remind me, but honestly I was squeamish and then forgot, wondering if I'm too late to still send it.
Not at all. We can print another if needed. Anything else you want clarified?
The brain scan from a couple months ago. Radiology letter said I've got an enlarged cerebral vein and they want an MRA or MRV. The word thrombosis was in bold and that rattled me. Should I be worried?
We'll review that thoroughly. Let me just recap. Your shoulder with crepitus and injection overdue, statin trouble, smoking cessation tools, pain medicine refills, fit kit guidance, and the brain vein follow-up. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's the whole grocery list, plus the usual blood pressure and whatnot.
All right, let's work through them one by one. First, your shoulder. The popping you describe, along with that spur on your last x-ray, fits with degenerative rotator cuff disease and a bit of osteoarthritis. You got good relief after the last corticosteroid injection, correct?
It bought me about 3 months of decent movement.
Given your past due, we can schedule another injection for later this week. I'll also print an updated physiotherapy program. Consistency is key, even 10 minutes twice a day. If the spur continues to limit movement, we may discuss orthopedic review, but let's see how you go after the injection first.
Sounds fair.
Now, pravastatin. Your last cholesterol panel showed LDL creeping up again. Muscle pains are a recognized side effect, though pravastatin is usually gentler than its cousins. We can either lower the dose, switch to a different statin like rosuvastatin, or consider a non-statin agent such as ezetimibe. What would you prefer?
I'm willing to try once more, maybe a different pill. I'd rather that than end up with a heart attack because I was stubborn.
Let's start rosuvastatin 10 milligrams nightly after your shoulder injection. There's some evidence it causes less myalgia. If aches recur, stop and call me.
Deal.
About smoking, you managed a full week, which is brilliant. I'll authorize another box of 4 milligram gum and prescribe a 12-week nicotine patch program. We'll also set you up with our respiratory nurse for counseling and check your carbon monoxide progress each fortnight. How does that sound?
Anything that keeps me off the smokes. The church group keeps me honest, but extra help is grand.
Great. Pain medicines. Your hydrocodone acetaminophen and methocarbamol supplies are due. I'll renew them for 30 days, but I'd like to add a referral to our physiotherapy-led back care class. Long-term, strengthening core muscles can reduce your reliance on opiates. For the inhaler, you're using the albuterol only?
Yes, ma'am. I stopped the steroid inhaler because it made my voice hoarse and I got more runny nose.
If you're still free of wheeze and nighttime breathlessness, we can continue with just the reliever inhaler, but let's keep an eye on your COPD markers. We'll do a spirometry next visit. About colon cancer screening, the fit kit can still be returned. It's good for 6 months. Use one collection, label the date, and mail it in the prepaid envelope. If you'd rather, we can arrange a colonoscopy directly, but fit is a simpler first step.
I'll do the kit. My neighbor said the scope prep was worse than the procedure.
Understandable. Now your brain MRI. The radiologist noted an enlarged vein, likely a developmental variant, but they recommended MRA-MRV to fully exclude a clot. You're not having headaches, vision changes, or limb weakness?
None at all.
That's reassuring. The follow-up scan isn't urgent, but we should book it within the next month. I'll send the referral today, and the imaging center will ring you with an appointment. Next, let's touch on blood pressure. Last clinic reading was 128/78 on lisinopril 10 milligrams at night, which is excellent. You mentioned you don't have a monitor at home. Would you be willing to check once a week at the pharmacy kiosk or purchase an arm cuff? Keeping a log helps if doses ever need adjusting.
Sure, my daughter can pick a cuff up online. I'll jot readings in a notebook.
Perfect. As for vaccinations, you had your flu jab this season. You're due for a Tdap booster, tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis, today if you're happy.
Roll up the sleeve.
I'll send the nurse in after we finish. Finally, let me summarize. We'll book your shoulder injection, trial rosuvastatin, arrange nicotine patches and more gum, refill Vicodin, methocarbamol, albuterol, give Tdap today, organize the MRA-MRV, and you'll post the fit kit. We'll also set up physio for back, and we will see again in 8 weeks to review cholesterol and smoking progress.
That's a solid plan, Doc. Thank you for laying it all out.
You're welcome, Mr. Whitaker. You've got a lot on your plate, but you're tackling it step by step. Before you go, any worries about the plan?
No worries. I appreciate the clear roadmap and the kindness. Feels less daunting.
Good. Let's get you that injection slot and your booster shot. I'll have my medical assistant pop in with the paperwork and vaccine. Ring me anytime if pain spikes or if you notice new symptoms like vision trouble or sudden headaches.
Will do. Thanks again, Dr. Marshall. See you in 8 weeks, hopefully smoke-free.
I'll be cheering you on. Take care and drive safely.
Extract 2, questions 13 to 24. For questions 13 to 24, complete the notes with a word or short phrase that you hear. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Good morning, Mr. Grayson. It's nice to see you again. How have you been since your surgery?
Morning, Dr. Ellis. I've been really quite good, all things considered. The new hip's treating me well. No creaks or grinding, just a bit of stiffness if I sit too long. Yesterday, I even managed the back stairs without hanging on to the rail like a koala. Only took it slow, mind you, but it felt brilliant to move that freely.
That's wonderful progress. Tell me more. Any pain or trouble with day-to-day tasks?
Pain's barely there, maybe a faint ache if I overdo it. Getting my socks on was the hardest bit, so I bought one of those sock aid gadgets. At first, I thought the thing was useless, but this morning I managed the whole circus. Loop the sock, drop it to the floor, hook my foot. Only needed one slight wiggle to get it right. Reach in my right leg's coming back. I still can't get up from the floor without hauling on a chair, though. I tried last Sunday after fixing the baseboard and had to yell for my grandson to give me a hand.
I'm glad you called for help instead of risking a fall. Anything else bothering you?
Well, the plumbing's still a nuisance. Stream starts off all right, then peters out after 10 seconds. I stand there feeling like I haven't emptied it all, so 5 minutes later, I'm back in again. When I use the catheter before bed, I can sleep the whole night, which is a relief to my wife. She was tired of me scuffling to the bathroom at 2 and 4 a.m.
How often are you catheterizing during the day?
About 3 times, breakfast, mid-afternoon, and bedtime. Slide it in, drain it out, no sting or trouble. The tamsulosin you started helps a bit. The urgency's less intense, but it hasn't fixed the dribbling or that half-full feeling.
I see. We'll revisit that in a moment. Any issues with blood pressure since we adjusted your medicines?
Funny you ask. When I first wake up, the cuff shows numbers in the 160s over 80s, sometimes low 70s. If I sit with coffee in the paper, it settles to the 140s. 2 months ago, when I dropped 10 pounds post-op, it swung too low, 90-something systolic, and I felt woozy, so you stopped the water pill. My appetite's back, the weight's up to around 180 like before, and the low spells haven't come back.
Good. Any dizziness, chest pain, or shortness of breath recently?
No chest pain. I get a little puffed carrying grocery bags, but that's been my normal for years.
What about the spot on your nose? You were using a steroid ointment while waiting to see dermatology.
Yes, right on the bridge. Looks like a flake of dried paint. I dab the ointment twice a day. It's staying flat, not bleeding or anything. My appointment with the skin doctor is next Tuesday.
Perfect. Any new medications or allergies since I last saw you?
I'm still on enalapril, 20 milligrams in the morning. The metoprolol, can't recall the exact dose. It's the small blue oval, twice a day, and the tamsulosin before supper. No allergies that I know of.
All right, let me summarize what I've heard so far. Your hip is healing nicely. You're managing stairs and socks with minimal pain. You're still troubled by weak urine flow and incomplete emptying, improved only partly by tamsulosin. Your home blood pressures hover in the 160s on waking, dropping to the 140s after you've rested. The nasal lesion is stable, and you've resumed your pre-surgery weight.
That sounds about right.
On exam today, your blood pressure was 152/88, so still a bit high. Given that your weight and fluid balance have normalized, I'd like to restart a low dose of hydrochlorothiazide, 12.5 milligrams once daily, in addition to the enalapril and metoprolol. The goal is to bring that morning number below 130. I'd like you to record your pressure twice a day, once within 30 minutes of waking and once in the evening after you've been seated for at least 5 minutes. If the top number drops under 100 or you feel lightheaded, ring us straight away.
Got it. I'll keep a log like last time.
Great. Now about the urinary symptoms. You're already on tamsulosin, which relaxes the bladder neck. I'm adding finasteride 5 milligrams daily. It shrinks the prostate over time by blocking hormone conversion. Unlike tamsulosin, it can take a few weeks, sometimes months, before you feel the full benefit, so don't be discouraged early on. Keep using the catheter whenever you feel uncomfortably full or at bedtime. If you notice sudden inability to pass urine at all, go to the emergency department.
Understood. Any side effects I should watch for?
Occasionally men notice decreased libido or a bit of breast tenderness, but most tolerate it well. We'll reevaluate after 4 weeks and again at 3 months.
All right.
For the hip, keep up your home exercises, heel slides, bridges, gentle stair work. Because you're struggling to rise from the floor, I'll write a referral for outpatient physiotherapy. A therapist can concentrate on quadriceps and gluteal strength and teach you safe strategies for getting up without straining the new joint.
That would be helpful. My granddaughter keeps leaving Lego on the carpet, so getting down isn't the problem, it's the getting up.
I'll make sure they schedule you at the clinic close to your house. Regarding the spot on your nose, continue the ointment twice daily until you see dermatology next week. If it starts crusting, bleeding, or enlarging, call me sooner.
Will do.
Last item is paperwork. At your last visit, you mentioned completing a living will and assigning power of attorney to your son. Could you bring a photocopy next time? Our front desk will scan it into your chart so other clinicians know your wishes.
Yes, my son has the folder. I'll photocopy it and bring it along.
Excellent. Before you leave, stop by the lab to pick up an order sheet for fasting blood work, complete blood count, basic metabolic panel, and lipid profile. Have those drawn a week before your 3-month follow-up. Come with your blood pressure log as well.
That's straightforward.
Wonderful. Do you have any questions or worries we haven't covered?
Only one. Will the finasteride interfere with any of my heart pills?
No, finasteride doesn't interact with enalapril, metoprolol, or hydrochlorothiazide. Take it at the same time every day, with or without food, whichever fits your routine.
All right. I'll take it with breakfast so I remember.
Sounds good. You're making excellent progress, Mr. Grayson. Keep doing the exercises, stay hydrated, and I'm looking forward to hearing how the prostate symptoms improve.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. You've been thorough as always.
It's my pleasure. Take care, and we'll see you in 3 months unless something crops up sooner.
See you then. Have a good day.
You too. And watch out for those Lego bricks. Dangerous little things.
That is the end of Part A. Now look at Part B. Part B. In this part of the test, you'll hear 6 different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear people talking in a different healthcare setting. For questions 25 to 30, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. You'll have time to read each question before you listen. Complete your answers as you listen. Now look at question 25.
Emma, have you seen the alert from IT? The predictive triage engine just downgraded 3 grade 1 chest pains to routine.
I know, Mark. I pulled the logs. Yesterday's telemetry outage tricked the model into thinking the patients were stable.
Cardiology's already missed a STEMI. If the algorithm's blind to missing data, we need to pull the plug.
The trust board pushed it live to hit winter pressure targets. Shutting it down means 40 extra minutes per arrival.
Better a queue than a coroner's inquest. Can we force a manual override?
Yes, but clinical safety must sign off. Dr. Howard's in theater until 4.
I'll escalate to the on-call medical director and route majors through the Old Manchester score.
I'll broadcast to triage nurses, ignore AI flags, and document observations the classic way. We'll survive paperwork. Patients won't survive rogue predictions.
Now look at question 26.
Jade, the cyclone grounded our retrieval jet, and the Darwin ECMO circuit is stuck in Brisbane. The 24-year-old on high-frequency ventilation won't last 12 hours.
I've rung Perth Children's, 1 circuit available, but we must send our perfusionist to escort it on the overnight freight flight.
Perfusion's rostered to double scrub tomorrow's aortic case.
Dr. Sinclair can delay the repair with an Impella. If we don't secure ECMO tonight, we'll lose the patient.
All right, divert Sinclair's Impeller to Theatre 5, release Sarah for the flight, and prep the helipad for dawn transfer.
CASA still needs a permit to carry liquid oxygen canisters in a cargo hold.
I'll phone the duty director and fax pathology. Start inhaled nitric to buy us time.
Done. We'll keep her PaO2 above 55 and flip to prone if she drifts.
Now look at question 27.
Aisha, the national shortage alert just flagged carboplatin. We've only 8 vials left for tomorrow's breast clinic.
I saw the email. If we triage, Mrs. O'Connor's adjuvant cycle must wait, but Patel's metastatic case can't slip.
Could we swap to cisplatin for the early stage patients?
Not without audiology clearance, and booking extra audiograms will take a week.
What about importing the Indian generic? MHRA granted a temporary license last night.
Pharmacy says shipment lands Friday, best case. We still need bridging doses for 3 days.
I'll phone the Christie and ask to borrow stock. We covered their Pemetrex gap in March.
Do it. Meanwhile, I'll conference the oncologists at 14 and resequence regimens to minimize tumor kill delay.
And we'll update patients before rumors break on social media.
I'll draft a plain language letter. No one should learn about their chemo postponement from Twitter.
Now look at question 28.
Nicole, pathology just called. Our EHR pushed yesterday's critical potassium of 2.3 to the wrong Mr. Sanchez. The real patient's still on the ward unfixed. How did the mismatch happen? The phlebotomist printed reversed wristbands after the label printer jam. Barcode scan passed because names were similar. We've already given the wrong Sanchez a potassium infusion he didn't need. Any harm? He's at 5.2 but asymptomatic. The actual hypokalemic Sanchez is now pre-op for hernia repair in Theater 2. Stop that surgery immediately and start IV replacement under telemetry. Risk will want a root cause review within 24 hours. I'll sequester the wristband printer and pull the device logs. You notify both families and file an Ames report before shift end. Got it? We should add a forced DOB check to the barcode workflow. Agreed. Technology's only safe if the process assumes humans will still make typos.
Now look at question 29.
Allison, the courier just phoned. Our patient's bespoke CAR-T infusion is stuck in Dallas after a freighter fire shut the airport.
You're joking. The cells expire in 18 hours. We don't have buffer for refreeze.
I called the manufacturer. They can charter a small jet, but FAA needs a hospital letter certifying medical cargo.
Draft it now and copy me. Meanwhile, pharmacy must thaw the bridging blinatumomab in case the cells miss the window.
Blinatumomab supplies are limited. Ham-Onc borrowed 2 vials during the measles cluster.
I'll raid Peds Oncology. Their next cycle isn't until Monday. Also, ICU needs 4 hours notice to prep the cytokine storm protocol.
I'll alert them and schedule an emergency tocilizumab release from sterile stores.
If the jet lands after midnight, apheresis staff may refuse overtime. OT code 72A doubles their pay. Run it past finance.
Will do. Let's race the clock and keep this remission on track.
Now look at question 30.
Siobhan, radiology can't pull images. The ransomware lockout just spread to the PACS archive.
I'm isolating the subnet, but the hackers already exfiltrated last week's CT scans.
Neurology stroke thrombolysis timer is ticking. Without imaging, we'll miss the 4.5-hour window.
I'm spinning up the dark site server in Galway. They'll courier an encrypted disk by train in 2 hours.
That leaves today's cases blind.
We can divert acute strokes to Cork and use the portable RCT head scanner here for triage. It outputs JPEGs that bypass PACS.
Consultants aren't credentialed on that device.
Email them the manufacturer's 10-minute certification video. ISR waived the practical last spring.
Fine. I'll redeploy ED staff to handle diversions and put paper wristbands back in circulation.
When this settles, we're pitching a budget for segmented backups and an air-gapped archive. No more single-point failure.
Agreed. Today's chaos just sold your proposal.
That is the end of Part B. Now look at Part C. Part C. In this part of the test, you'll hear two different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear health professionals talking about aspects of their work. For questions 31 to 42, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. Complete your answers as you listen. Now look at Extract 1.
Dr. Collins, thanks for joining me from the University of Melbourne's Allergy and Respiratory Clinic. Today we're diving into biologic injections for severe asthma, those medicines people call smart antibodies. Let's start simple. What exactly are they?
Pleasure to be here, Mark. In plain English, biologics are lab-made proteins that act like guided missiles. They lock onto one glitch in the immune system that causes certain people's airways to swell and clamp down. Instead of broadly calming the whole immune system like steroid tablets do, biologics target one culprit chemical, so you get fewer side effects.
So instead of using a shotgun, you're using a sniper rifle?
Exactly. With the most common biologics, mepolizumab, benralizumab, and dupilumab, we're aiming at signals called interleukins. They're like overexcited text messages your immune cells keep sending, telling the lungs to stay inflamed.
Give us a real-life example. I hear you've been following a patient called Maya?
Yes, Maya's story shows how life-changing this can be. She's a 49-year-old schoolteacher from Geelong. For 2 decades, she relied on daily high-dose steroid inhalers plus tablets in winter. Even so, she'd land in emergency rooms 4 or 5 times a year with wheezing so bad she could barely talk. Her peak flow meter, think of it as a lung speedometer, was stuck at about 220 liters per minute. For someone her size, it should have been nearer 450.
Those hospital trips must have been terrifying.
They were, and the oral steroids caused weight gain, high blood pressure, and early cataracts. Blood tests showed her eosinophils, the white cells that trigger mucus and swelling, were sky high. That made her a perfect candidate for mepolizumab. an antibody designed to switch those cells off.
How did you explain the treatment to her? I imagine monoclonal antibody sounds like sci-fi.
We told her, this is a monthly shot in your upper arm, a bit like a flu jab. It doesn't replace your inhaler right away, but should cut flare-ups by half within a few months, and the safety profile is milder than long-term prednisone. Using everyday language mattered because Maya's question wasn't about receptors. It was, will I be able to walk my dog without packing a spacer and rescue inhaler?
And did she?
3 months in, her peak flow rose to 370. She hadn't needed the emergency department once. 6 months later, she could hike the Yuyangs on a cool day, previously unthinkable.
That's a big turnaround, but for balance, what are the downsides?
Cost is the headline. In Australia, a dose runs about AED 13,000 a year off-label. Though government subsidy covers people who meet strict criteria, frequent attacks despite maximum standard therapy. There's also the injection itself. Some people feel mild headaches or soreness. Very rarely someone's immune system recognizes the antibody and breaks it down faster, so we monitor blood counts every few months.
Listeners often ask, can biologics replace inhaled steroids altogether?
For most, we taper but don't totally stop the puffer, because the underlying asthma wiring is still there. Think of biologics as removing the gravel from the road so your tires roll smoothly, but you still need the tires.
Good analogy. Some critics worry biologics treat numbers on a blood test rather than the person. How do you keep care holistic?
Great question. With Maya, we also tackled mold in her classroom, gave her a personalized exercise plan, and taught breathing technique physio. The injection is one spoke in the wheel.
Let's zoom out. Why are we seeing more of these medicines now?
Manufacturing costs have fallen, and our map of asthma flavors is clearer. We used to lump everyone with wheeze into one bucket. Gene studies and sputum microscopy showed at least 5 patterns. Biologics work brilliantly in 2 of those, eosinophilic and allergic types, so regulators felt confident approving them.
Are kids eligible?
Yes, from around age 6 depending on the drug, but pediatricians weigh risks even more carefully because children's immune systems are still training.
What about during pregnancy?
Data are still limited. We usually pause biologics if the asthma is controllable with inhalers alone. If not, the risk of a life-threatening attack can outweigh the unknowns of the drug.
Suppose someone's listening in rural Victoria and wonders, will my GP give this to me? How accessible is it?
Prescription comes from a respiratory specialist, but once approved, many patients self-inject at home after one nurse-guided session, much like diabetics do with insulin. That spares long drives.
Let's circle back to Maya. It's been 18 months since her first shot. How's she now?
She's down to 2 mild colds in that time, both managed at home. Her peak flow averages 400. She still carries a blue reliever puffer. It's like a seatbelt, but uses it maybe twice a month instead of 10 times a day. She even coached her daughter's netball team last season without missing a game.
That's inspiring. If you could bust one myth about severe asthma or biologics, what would it be?
That needing advanced therapy means someone failed at using their inhaler. Asthma is often driven by biology you can't breathe your way out of. Biologics simply give those people the level playing field most of us take for granted.
And your take-home message for families?
If you or someone you love is wheezing through life despite doing everything by the book, ask the doctor whether a biologic assessment makes sense. Relief is no longer one-size-fits-all.
Dr. Collins, thank you for unpacking a complex topic in such clear terms. Maya's story will resonate with many.
Thanks, Mark. It's heartening to see science translate directly into better Monday morning living for our patients.
Now look at Extract 2. Extract 2, questions 37 to 42. You now have 90 seconds to read questions 37 to 42.
Good afternoon from Boston, and thank you for lending me your ears and imaginations. I am Dr. Evan Harper, a medical oncologist who spends most days in a windowless lab looking for cancers that do not yet have names but are already whispering through a patient's bloodstream. Today I want to talk about the power and the peril of what many people are calling the liquid biopsy. Imagine a single vial of blood revealing signals from more than 50 different cancers, some hiding in places we have never been able to screen before, like the pancreas or the ovary. That idea sounds like science fiction, yet it is already walking into clinics under names like the Galleri Multi-Cancer Early Detection Test. I first met this technology not in a glossy conference hall, but in an ordinary exam room with a man named Bill. Bill is a 58-year-old school teacher who hates hospitals, loves woodworking, and swears he has never missed a day of class. He joined an early adopter program because his brother died of pancreatic cancer 4 months after diagnosis, far too fast for even the bravest surgeon to help. Bill's blood was drawn on a gray Tuesday morning. 3 weeks later, my phone pinged with a positive cancer signal, likely pancreatic or biliary. I can tell you my heart rate doubled because Bill had no pain, no jaundice, and an ultrasound done the month before for kidney stones that showed nothing. We were staring at a ghost. We rushed him through an MRI and then an endoscopic ultrasound. Tucked deep in his pancreas was a tumor smaller than a blueberry, invisible on his previous scan but very real under the scope. Bill went straight to a Whipple surgery, endured 8 rounds of chemo, and last month he sent me a video of himself dancing at his daughter's wedding, cancer-free 18 months after an operation he could never have received on time without that blood test. Stories like Bill's feel miraculous, yet anecdotes cannot run a healthcare system. We need numbers, and they are finally arriving. 2 weeks ago, the Pathfinder 2 study updated the figures on Galleri, a positive predictive value of 43%, almost double the earlier cohort, with specificity at 99.5% and an 88% accuracy in telling us where in the body the cancer is hiding. Real-world use is also scaling. Earlier this spring, researchers shared data on more than 100,000 commercial tests, confirming that the cancer signal origin algorithm hits the right organ in the vast majority of true positives, and that a negative result is linked to a lower risk of cancer diagnosis for at least a year. These are astonishing wins, but we must keep our feet on the ground. No test is perfect. 1 person out of 200 will still walk away with a false alarm, face a week of sleepless nights, and endure scans that eventually say all clear. And critically, we do not yet have proof that catching every signal this early will save more lives than it complicates. The New Yorker recently called this the catch in catching cancer early, warning that overdiagnosis and lead time bias can make us think we are saving lives when we might just be finding slow-growing tumors sooner. So how do we reconcile hope with humility? My answer is data plus design. The UK's NHS is enrolling 140,000 volunteers to see whether annual liquid biopsies actually cut cancer deaths, with first mortality readouts expected in 2026. In the United States, insurers are studying how to integrate the test for people over 50 or those with genetic risks. Meanwhile, machine learning teams are shrinking the error bars month by month, feeding the algorithm everything from methylation fingerprints to fragmentomics, the study of how DNA shards break in unique patterns when they come from tumors. Let me circle back to Bill. He sent me permission to share his story because he wanted you to know that the future happens one person at a time. The point is not the brand name on the test tube. The point is the philosophy that cancer should be caught when it is a whisper, not a scream. Liquid biopsy is our best microphone so far, and while it sometimes picks up static, it is already amplifying voices we have never heard. I will close with a challenge. If you are a policymaker, fund the trials that settle the mortality question. If you are a technologist, cut the false positive rate until it is as boring as a home pregnancy test. If you are a patient, ask whether you belong to a study or a high-risk group that could benefit today. And if you are none of those, simply share the knowledge that cancer screening is evolving faster than ever before, and that hope, when disciplined by evidence, can be the most powerful therapy of all. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Bill, for reminding us that behind every data point is a life worth fighting for.